Hey everybody, this is Dr. Woody back with PASL Write It Up Fast Step 17. I'm very excited to help you get to this point because this is it. When you nail this one, you're going to pass, you're going to be done, and you're going to be the next certified principal in the state of Texas. So let's go. Here we are. In this step, this one is kind of like for all the money. You're going to nail it on this one. You're working on self-reflection and feedback. You're going to be talking about self-reflection of your own progress and the way you set things up. You're going to talk about your team members' progress and evaluate them. You're going to take feedback from your team members on the whole collaborative team process. And you're going to discuss in depth how your growth and your team's growth will impact the future of your campus. So let me show you a couple of things before I go into the write-up part. You will need one 10-minute unedited video conversation with at least one team member who's giving you feedback. I actually encourage you to do two if you have access to record two team members, because I think they sort of feed off of each other and it makes the time pass a little more smoothly. And I'm going to show you, if you haven't done your video or you feel like you need to redo your video, I'm going to show you a way you can structure it that will make sure it aligns with the task. And then let's take a quick peek at this. Is the written prompt. We're going to look at it in depth in a minute. And I want to remind you that this video segment cannot be edited. And there's a great description in the handbook that tells you you can't fade in and out. You can't edit the sound. You can't cut the video. You can't add to the video. You can't audit or add audio on top of the video. You can't add words to the video to make people understand what was said if somebody mumbles. So if you're having problems with the video, if it doesn't contain what you want, I always encourage candidates just to do it again. If you don't still have access to the original people, ask someone to sit in on behalf of that person so that they can share what it is that you're supposed to spotlight to prove that you understand the principal certification standards. That's what this test is all about, that you've mastered the principal certification standards for the great state of Texas. So let me show you really quickly what the handbook looks like for this. So you can just Google PASL and you can look up how to upload your video or written artifacts, but you're going to find it right here in the Candidate and Educator Handbook. So you can Google PASL Candidate Handbook, and then it's going to look like this. This is page 33 of the handbook, and it tells exactly what will get you credit for the video. So it actually starts on page 32. It talks about the video upload and that the video does not take place within the Library of Artifacts. It's the very last task. It's actually step 5 of task 3. And it says to review the task activities and guiding prompts. And it tells what kinds of files can go there. And it says if you do some of the wrong things, you're going to get 0 points for the whole task. So you can just write your heart out and do all of this work, and you can still get no credit. So we don't want to do that. Let me plug in here so we don't die. Okay, so it has a little bit more about how to convert your file when you're ready. Don't wait until the last minute. It says it can take 30 minutes to get your file uploaded. And guys, remember, they've got it makes me crazy, but the ETS clock is set to Eastern Standard Time. So you will not get to turn it in on Central Time, whatever the due date time is. It's actually an hour earlier here. So do not wait until the last minute to upload these video files. But you do have directions there. I'm not going to go into any detail because what they've written is better than anything I could tell you. So let's jump into the written commentary. I'm very pleased with what you're going to be able to do here. I want you to use mine as an example. I encourage you on this one. It's so important. Color code your answer to see if you have enough for everything. And you'll see as I go on in task 3.4, mine gets longer and longer, which is fine. You have extra words on task 3 compared to task 1 and task 2. Also, you'll see in the library of examples that I'll show, they'll do a little bit opposite. They tell more early and they make theirs longer at the end. Either way is fine. So the first question says, to what extent? And so the way you answer a to what extent question, to what extent were you able to foster a collaborative team? You're going to say something basic like, I was able, I was successful in fostering. I feel confident that I fostered. Just some basic statement leading off that says that you did do this, period. I was able to foster a collaborative team, which came together to make a positive difference in our school. Okay, so now you're going to start this little game. You're going to reference these three things. I encourage you to do all three because they're easy to do. So you're going to mention the plan, you're going to mention some of the other artifacts, and you're going to mention the video. And when they say the video, I would say be sure to mention the 10-minute video, but you may also want to mention the 5-minute video. So here I go. As evidence in the first video clip, and I just said 3.2.2 because that's where I uploaded video clip 1 or where I mentioned video clip 1. As evidence in the 10-minute video clip, and this is the artifact name 3.4.1 for me, and then the timestamp of it, you can either say timestamp or you can just do a 2.03. And then there's the plan. And then I mentioned a couple of other artifacts, the teacher survey and the student samples. So pause and take a look at how I did that. It's pretty short. Yours can definitely be longer. Okay, what did you learn about your team members concerning their professional growth? So stick to the team members' professional growth. You're going to need to talk about how they entered this work and how they left. And clearly, they're better, right? You want to talk about how they got better. If for some reason you had a team member who struggled and maybe dropped out or something like that, you certainly can mention that, but I would avoid doing much negative work here. I would talk about their growth and their contributions, and I would go lightly on anything that didn't go too well just because this question's not set up for you to fail. It's set up for you to talk about your success. So notice here, team members. I learned that even though my team members, and so I talk about my team members, and evaluate their growth and give examples. So you'll see team members, there's my team members, growth, growth, growth. So I say before when we entered, and then this happened. Before, and then this happened. And then this happened. So it talks about how before, then this happened. That these are the things that happened to the team members because they joined the group. Like, remember, you're just awesome. You're doing a fantastic job. And here's the examples from the video. And I've shown you several ways to reference a video. Timestamp 904, and I just wrote it in the sentence. I put in parentheses the timestamp at timestamp 457, and then I put in parentheses, and then I said at the 8:15 mark. So sometimes it's easier to add a word like mark or timestamp or the minute, and that helps you make the wording flow more fluently. But if you're going to put it in parentheses, I'd just stick a 0 or a number like the minute number and then a colon and the second number. Okay, and I think this one is not too hard, but be sure you mention the trap is it talks about your team members evaluate their growth and contributions. I would be sure and mention each team member at least once, whether you do it this way, like I named all the team roles, or whether you do this. I did not talk about my growth much in this one. You certainly can, especially if you still feel like you have words to go, talk about your own growth. I talked a little bit about my growth. And then what steps did you take before and during? And so I've color coded the before. There's the before. Let's see. I think I got some more befores here. And then I color coded the during, I don't even know how you say that word. I say during. The during work, which I did the timestamps. So I said in the video, I did this, and I did this, and I did this. These are the timestamps. Now, I want to show you something. It says, I grade this one. What steps did you take before and during the video recorded conversation to encourage your team members' self-reflection related to their involvement in a collaborative team? Provide examples from the video that support your efforts to promote self-reflection. So to make sure, remember, I'm having to make mine up. I did not actually do the task. But to make sure that I have captured this, I just took, let's see if I can highlight this here. I took the 3 questions from task 3, the ones that you're sitting here looking at, and I'll color code this for you. I wrote them as if these were the questions I had used. So it said, what steps did you take to make sure they reflected on their involvement? So I said I had a meeting with them. I gave them some data. I gave time for them to think quietly and reflect because we're talking about their self-reflection, not you reflecting for them. I gave them some time to self-reflect. How has our work as a team made a difference? How has your partnership in the team made a difference in your personal growth? And then how will the creation of this collaborative team serve as a vehicle? If you'll see, that's prompt, I guess that's prompt B, D, and E. I think that's how they line up below. And then I said these were their answers. And notice, well, there's another one I could color green. These align with times that I said happened in the video. So if you have to remake your video, ask these questions. And then note in the video where you asked them. See, I asked them here, and then I continued to prompt here by asking open-ended questions. So this is the daring part. Asking these kinds of coaching questions help do this. Okay? So all of that, I guess I scrolled down too far. Well, I apologize for that. So all of this is prompt C. Use what you can, but please do not copy me because they will absolutely figure out that you have copied somebody else. Your work cannot match somebody else's. I would say, however, that these questions, you can use these questions. You just might want to rework how you put them into your exam, your written commentary. Okay, here's D. How will the feedback your team members provided influence your work? Provide examples from artifacts and or the video. So you want to make sure that you talk about how the feedback from your team members influenced your work with other colleagues when building collaborative teams in the future. So you're saying, because I did this work, I'm going to be better, and this is how. So it talks about this. I kind of restated the question there. Here's an example. And there's some more in here about the insight or reinforce the intentionality and matching responsibilities instead of just assuming everybody will jump right onto the seat on my bus. And you know, this is my voice. Make sure you use your voice when you write yours. If you would never say that, then don't write things like that. These are the kinds of things I say because this is how I talk, because I'm from the country. And these are the things that we say in the country. Teacher two's emotional response. So here's another sample, and this is how it impacted me in future teams. Here's a minute mark for teacher one and how it will impact me in the future. And then this is an easy tip. To be able to get some credit right here for providing examples from the other artifacts in the video, you can just list them in a list with commas in between and talk about the feedback I gathered or the artifacts, you know, how they helped me. And then I said they did this for me. And then moving forward and overall. So all of these are ways that it's impacted me as a future leader. And then one more thing is, how does it impact your school? So we've talked about how it impacted the teams, how it impacted you, and how it impacts your school. So a vehicle for positive change and cite examples from the collaborative team to support your response. So here's the vehicles, the yellow. It planted seeds of positive change. I restated the question. Meaningful instructional improvement is both possible and sustainable. It signals a shift toward a culture where collaboration becomes the norm. That the transformation of the team members is influencing the broader climate on our campus. And then I give specific examples. You'll see the green. The green are some artifacts. So I mentioned the teacher survey, the student sample, then how teacher one and teacher two improved the culture of the school. There's another artifact, 815. And then the team modeled what a healthy collaborative culture looks like. So I could actually color that yellow because that is going to influence the culture of our school. The consistency of norms, the expectation of just putting away the phones. All of these are time-stamped or marked, now serve as a blueprint. And then there's one more final, woohoo, yay. This is how awesome this is. So remember, you've probably got the character counts left to do a good job on this one. Task 3 counts double. And a lot of people just absolutely balk when they get to this one because they don't want to make the video. They don't know how to make the video. They're freaked out by this part. Do not be freaked out. There's no monster under the bed. You can totally do this. I believe in you. You're almost to the end. Let me show you the library of examples in case you want to see the other way. So here's the other way you can write this. This is just another example of doing the same thing. So this one, you'll see that I was able to foster. Remember on the first one in A? And we talked about here just some examples, and this was evident when this happened. And so they've given some examples here. I don't see any timestamps in this one. So if I was going to ding this person a little bit, I would say there's no reference to the video here, but they do have references to the artifacts and the work of the collaborative team. So throughout this process, I learned that each teacher had significant professional growth. And then they go through and they talk about colleague 1, colleague 2, colleague 3, and the expectations and how they changed. Again, I don't see any mention really to the video here. Yeah, there it goes. In the video, we became comfortable discussing ideas. I would say if you can point to where in the video, for it's at least a few times through your head. Several strategies were used to encourage discussions about self-reflection. So she talks about how, or he talks about how they facilitated the self-reflection part. And as demonstrated in the video, we were able to reflect on feedback provided by other teachers in the building. So again, I think this one would probably be a 3 just because it's not as clear where in the video. I would give more description. As seen in the video, I would work a little bit more on that. And then D, I was able to utilize, I'll make sure this one met standards. I was able to utilize what we learned from feedback to influence my work. And so they give some very big specifics. And they actually referred to a resource they used here. And then one of the more important aspects of the team's professional growth was the assumption leader. This one is very short. So I would say this one is probably a 3. If you could pull out a 4 on this task, that's just icing on your cake to make sure that you get all the possible credit you can get for task 3. So this is directly from what you'll be doing for the recording part of this. This is from the handbook. If you record somebody in the video, you need to have permission forms from them, but you do not need to upload the permission forms. I get that question a lot. They're just for you. If it's your best friend and you can get them to just record and then get the permission forms, that's fine. But just hang on to the permission forms in case somebody says, hey, I didn't have permission. And then there's a little bit more about you can't fade in, you can't fade out. You can't use anything other than the video recorder. You can't use 2 video cameras. You can't cut. But there's a lot of cans here too. What you can do is you can turn your phone on a tripod or propped up against some books, and you can record this and not make a big deal out of this. You can certainly get this done. And this one is what the box looks like. To upload it, you'll actually upload it in 3.5.1 because, as they said, it's not uploaded the same way in the Library of Artifacts. And so I just want to say, yay! I wish I could throw confetti. You did it. I always knew that you could do it. And I want you to let me know when you get your results. Please shout it out on my YouTube page so I can shout you out and congratulate you when you are the next certified principal in this great state of Texas. Congratulations on being done.